we started really poor. Obviously, they scored a try early doors with a real poor one-on-one missed tackle. And then whether we've got some kind of mental block or not, it seems to me probably the last couple of months, as soon as we go behind on the scoreboard, our energy just drops through the floor. It looks like we're worried about the scoreboard too much in games, instead of just getting back to our process and grinding a game out. As soon as we go down, it's like we start worrying about the scoreboard and start trying to chase the scoreboard straight away, instead of building the game. But yeah, mate, disappointing start, and then it snowballed that first half. I suppose a little bit of credit. The second half, I thought we scrambled a bit better and we had a bit more desire than we had in the first half, but very, very disappointed with the first half showing.
What do you say to lads at half-time after half-hour when you see that, like you say, once you go behind, you see things drop through the floor, and in the first half you start pulling, it snowball from there. What do you say to them at half-time?
At half-time, I just said, listen, scoreboard's the scoreboard. Let's start again, go out, build our game, and see what we can do for the second half. Realistically, at half-time, it was Everest, to come back and win the game, the way we were playing, the way they were playing, and the scoreboard. But we went out and we started building a game a little bit. Also, we're a man down for the first 10 minutes, which didn't help, and then they score early on again. But I think that last 30 minutes of the game, we scrambled a bit better, if there's any positives at all, which there's probably not. But that was probably the only thing from the game that I'll take.
You mentioned the spirit falling through the floor once you get up behind on the scoreboard. That's almost like something that can't be coached. That's like a mental thing.
Yeah, I think, we had a really, really poor period. I think we lost 7 on the bounce, was it? Something like that. And that does a lot to your confidence, obviously. And I think we've got a few mental scars from some of the big defeats that we've had. And then when we concede a try early doors, it's like we're worried that, is this going to be a 50-0 or a 60-0? And we start trying to chase that scoreboard and doing things that we don't practice all week. But that's my job to try and change that mentality. The most disappointing thing for me is we've been working really, really hard, and we saw some good signs against Lee. I thought that game could have gone either way. We got a yellow card, and then the game went away from us. And then last week we saw some really good signs against Huddersfield, and we win the game 32-0. And I thought, if we come here tonight and we build another block on top of that, and we get a result tonight, I feel like we're going to get the playoffs, and then the season's rolling. But that's the most disappointing thing for me, that I thought we were on a roll, and then we come here and we get punched in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then we crumbled like that.
How can a coach try and change mentality? Because it's not a game play thing or a game style thing. What can a coach do that changes mentality?
I think just gradually trying to drip feed those messages into the players. Scenarios in training and things like that. We've been doing all that stuff these last few weeks, and ultimately that it's a confidence thing that you get from playing well and winning games. And we've won one, and we gained a little bit, and then probably back to the drawing board after tonight.
You mentioned the yellow card. What did you say to him when?
Look, if we had 17 Sams playing on the field, that wouldn't have been the result. He's a competitor. He's trying to do what he feels is best for the team at the time, and ultimately he cost us. But one thing you can't question with Sam over the last 20 years is he gives 100% every single game, no matter what. So there won't be any criticism from me on that. He's probably beating himself up in the changing rooms about it already, but he's a competitor. He's trying to stop a try. Sometimes people get it wrong.
In terms of the table now sitting in ninth, is the push for the playoffs, is that gone?
Is it mathematically possible?
Probably, yeah.
Well, then it's not gone. But realistically, we've got to go from here to here. Like we really have got to improve massively. I just feel like we just probably got some players out there at the minute who are just not quite up to the job, realistically. We'll keep working. We'll strive for the playoffs as long as it's mathematically possible, but that can't really be a focus for us. I think our focus has just got to be improving individually, because at the minute, and I'm not talking about young French players, some of them are not quite up to it, but also some of the overseas players are not quite up to it. Some of the English imports aren't quite up to it. So every single player individually has got to look at themselves and be honest with themselves where they think they're at.
Do you have the players you can change in your squad, or do you need to bring some players in, or is it just a matter of going with what you've got until the end of the season?
Well, we are going with what we've got till the end of the season. So, this isn't that last comment isn't me saying we want wholesale changes. That's just me being honest. We've not quite been there this season, and I think sometimes players individually have got to look at themselves and decide, am I doing my job for the team? Am I earning my wages? Am I turning up, doing everything I can every week to get ready for the game and ready to play and be the best version of myself as a player? The players have got to ask themselves that question.
As coach, I mean, you take some players, whoever they are, maybe aren't up to the job. As coach, do you tell them that you don't think they're up to the job at the moment?
It's not that they're not up to the job as in they can't do it. At the minute, they're just not doing it. They're not doing it. There's no doubt there's some teams with more quality on us. But I don't think that was necessarily the case tonight. I thought they had probably two fairly equally matched teams, and they had 17 players who all did the job and probably performed to a 8 or 9 out of 10. We had 17 players who turned up. We had some 2s, some 3s, some 4s, probably a couple of 5s and 6s. So that's what I'm saying. They're just not up to the job at the minute.
Cool. You're on board till the end of the season, aren't you?
Yeah.
Are you wanting the job potentially? You can obviously turn it around a bit and stop the rot beyond this season. You wanting it, long term, perhaps? I'm
contracted next year to the club as an assistant coach. That's probably a question for people above me.
But do you think if you can turn it around and engineer a decent sort of last or many games like that, it will put you in the fray to be the number one beyond this season?
Potentially, but again, I suppose it depends what the other options are. If Trent Robinson wants to come back and coach Catalan, then they're going to get Trent Robinson in, aren't they? But it's look, if they bring an experienced NRL head coach or an experienced English head coach or whatever, and I can drop down to being an assistant and learn my craft as a coach, then I'm happy to do that. If they offer me the job and they're happy with the job I'm doing, they offer it me next year, then I'll be happy to do that as well. But it's kind of either way, I'll be at the club as an assistant or as the head coach.